Just yesterday we had a film of the Shell head talking about the spill. We had with us Don Kemezue Elvis. He's an environmentalist and a Niger Delta activist, started negotiations at the said business school at the University of Oxford and presently president Bayelsa Youth Association worldwide. Elvis, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, viewers.
And I'm quite sure you've been following that spill in your region. So how are you taking it? A landmark judgment in the favor of the communities.
Yeah, it's quite fortunate that after so many years, 1956, oil was discovered in the Loibri, and it's quite now that this shocking revolution is coming out by a body from well recognized worldwide, United Nations. It's so fortunate because these issues of oil spillage, environmental degradation, abuse of our land by pollution of gas flaring and oil activities, it has been on, you know. We have been saying these things, we have been agitating these things, how the effects of aquatic life, of our riverine, of our rivers, nobody has seemed to take up these issues. But right now, a tip of an iceberg, like the issues in Ogoni land, has been raised. Now people are beginning to make a round about it. Look, what has happened in Ogoni land is just a tip. You know, it's just a small. It's not as if I'm trying to downplay the Ogoni issue, but what has happened, you know, if you begin to look at areas like Opokushi, Teno, Egbeman Galabri, Azuzuama, Piseni, Kokodia, Zarama, these are areas where, you know the coastal region like Bayelsa State is 90% swamp.
Oh, you started in the UK.
Yeah.
If you don't go to court, sometimes no one is going to hear you. The Bodo community actually took this particular matter to the court. That's why they have been listened to.
Yeah, if you are not informed, you probably be deformed, because our people have been trying to do these things. You see, that's why we are commending the lives of Kingsley Koku, the essay on Niger Delta, on the post-amnesty process, who is trying to get our boys trained so that they will be aware and monitor to checkmate these processes. Because let me give you a shocking revelation. You see, when there's an oil spill occur in any environment, do you know what Shell does? There's what they call the JIV. The JIV is called Joint Investigation Venture. It includes the local community representative like the CDC and the government representative like the Federal Ministry of Environment, NOSDRA, and the company itself. What it does is to go and take a proper assessment of what I've done. They will pick up somebody from the community, probably who is not well acquainted with the environmental damages. He will go and say, oh, they quantify it with buckets. They say, okay, 2 or 3 buckets have been spilled. And they say, okay, for 1 bucket, we'll use 250,000 naira to map out oil for 1 bucket. How can you clean oil that have devastated our land with 250,000 naira? So I call that racketing. Shell, Ajib, Total, all the oil companies, even NNPC, and they are trying to do this because NNPC is aware using the NAPIMS to cut costs. They say they are cutting costs. So in that ramification, they will bring people into the community, bring the government representatives. They will ask the community to sign, probably give them 200,000 or 300,000 naira. He will voluntarily sign, unknowing what the repercussion is.
How can you say it's unknown to them?
No, unknown to them because
some say they sign the future of the people, the communities.
Yeah, because that man is not learned. That man does not know what he's signing. Well, he may not be able, because when you are a professional in environmental sciences and you know what the environmental effects are to your people and even you, benzene now have been found in the waters.
Mr. Elvis, have you seen the reaction of the MD of Shell to the UNEP report? Have you seen it on YouTube?
Yeah, I have not watched it because I've been on the road since yesterday.
Well, he said so much about, or he's tried to lay the blame squarely on sabotage. As you know, our law does not allow companies pay, all companies pay compensation when something was caused by sabotage. He says we stopped exploring for oil since 1993 in Ogoniland, even though we still have pipelines passing through Ogoni land, and it seems that more than half of what was done, if not everything, was done by sabotage. What do you have to say to that?
Yes, you see, when there is breakdown of negotiations, there's tendency to be sabotage. I can't dispute that factor. But you see, sabotage is just 20% out of the 100% of oil spillage occurrences in the Niger Delta. Look at the cases. There was one case sometime last year. In fact, it was done. This was done by IGP in Beniboye, one of their fuel stations in Bayelsa. It was a technical error, and oil was gurking out from that oil well every second. It was just like the BP scenario. And what did federal government did about it? Because federal government has 60% stake in it, and they didn't want to spend much, so they downplayed the whole issue. You know, so sometimes it's because probably we have president from that region right now in the hands of affairs. He has been able to allow UN to do a proper assessment. But what we are saying is they should do a holistic assessment so that there will be proper compensation, adequate compensation to those affected.
Not just for Ogoni land.
No, not just for Ogoni land. I've named places in Bayelsa State now. There are some places in Bayelsa State, you'll be on water for 6 hours to get to those communities. And those are major host communities of all these oil wells. You see abandoned rigs on the middle part of the river. And probably they don't have land. The only access to livelihood is fishing, and therefore, if the aquatic life is all gone, because if you move in my own community, you see oil flowing on top of the river, and that's where they drink water from.
Why do we seem to be blaming? Why are we appearing to be blaming only the oil companies? Don't the residents, I mean the indigenous, have a role to play this? No.
You see, like I said, our people, if you look at the result of the educational catchment states, Bayelsa is one of those states, and our people have not been able to have these privileges to get enlightened, educated in this environmental sciences area.
Does ignorance now give room for sabotage?
Of course, because if we have been given the privilege, like most of us would know, the communities will be able to come out and defend their unborn children. The last one, their unborn children are risks. Because if we begin want to talk about compensation, I heard them said about 1 billion naira should be paid to Ogoni people. If we begin want to talk about compensation from 1956, how much can they pay?
No, I'm not talking about compensation.
No.
I'm just trying to tell does ignorance give room for sabotage?
No. I told you, sabotage can occur when there's breakdown in negotiations. There's breakdown in negotiation. That's just like the rising cases of agitation in the region, when people had failed to deprive for too long, and probably what you had promised to do for them had not come into play.
What exactly is happening in that region? You started negotiations at the Oxford University, and for now, people have been complaining, and you said you identified one of the issues, which is inadequate education. Now that you're educated, as well as some of those we see on television, especially from the Amnesty program, what exactly are they doing to really safeguard the environment in that particular region?
Like you have seen, a lot of people have been sent abroad to be trained on oil spill management and remediation. First and foremost, when there is oil spill, you need to map out oils from those areas before you talk about remediation, trying to revive the land and all that. So a lot of trainings have been going on both in the US, South Africa, and some other parts of Europe, in order to get these youths trained. Because when they are trained, they can come out and tell you legally that this process you are going through is not right. And what I'm saying is that despite what has happened, we can still make amends. But in the process of making amends, there should be a holistic assessment. Because if you look right now, the ecological system of our production of farm products in our land is devastated.